The function behind the canine bandit or the thief. So the function is usually one of these three things. So usually they're either attention seeking, and that doesn't necessarily mean they're looking for you to say something to them, to tell them good boy, good girl. It could just mean that they're looking for some feedback from you in some way, or even some feedback from the environment. It doesn't always have to be you. Sometimes it can be something from anyone else in the environment or anything else in the environment. Sometimes they like to just do things to sort of get a reaction out of something. Okay. Another reason is enrichment. We're going to break these down a little bit more in just a second too. So enrichment is another common reason. So that's the dog that's looking for something to do. Okay. And there happens to be, oh, look, there's a toy over there. Doesn't matter if it's my toy or not. It's still something to play with. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that. And you'll see an example of my own dog doing that. But you can't tell my kids because they don't know. And then resource guarding is another really common function. And that's the one that gets really emotional for the dogs. And so that's the one I want to make sure that we do talk about it. Because again, a lot of times things that you don't think it's resource guarding, it can actually be resource guarding, or it could be the beginnings of resource guarding. So we want to make sure that's not the case. Okay, so the first function is the attention seeking. This is the dog that it's fun to play keep away. The fun is in the chase, right? So the fun is in the, I go and I grab the thing. I kind of show you that I have it. I go somewhat near you so that I know that you know that I have it. And then I run. Kids are notorious for chasing dogs, right? Especially if they've stolen something of theirs. But that doesn't let the adults off the hook either. So if there are no kids in the picture in your house, it doesn't mean that you're not unintentionally doing that. A lot of adults will, kind of try to grab the thing from the dog. And in doing that, the dog's running away from them and they're running circles around the dining room table or something like that. So we definitely want to keep that in mind. And then the other one is the love of tug. So this is the dog that grabs something. And it could even be something that's attached to somebody and pulls on it. And then that person's like, no, drop it, let go of it, whatever, pull it back. And then that dog pulls again. And all of a sudden you have a tug of war. Or a dog, the one that actually was featured in the first slide on here. So I pop back to it real quick. This one right here, we were actually teaching that dog to drop it. So this was actually a dog toy. It was meant for the dog. But if you can imagine this being a kid's toy, and the dog grabs the kid's toy and the kid grabs it back and pulls it back and the dog pulls more and the kid pulls more. Okay, so the love of tug is a very real reason that dogs will often do this. And then, so this is the one you can't tell my kids about. So this is poor Mario, a little, plastic Mario piece that my son or daughter, could have been my daughter, had left out on the dining room table. And when we talk about management a little bit, you'll hear why we don't do that. We don't leave out toys in a space where the dog is free to exist and expect that when no one's watching, the dog just won't go for it. Okay, that would be a more natural behavior for a dog. That's not something that they're necessarily going to turn around and be like, oh, there's a Mario there. I really want it. No one's watching. Probably shouldn't take it. They're not going to do that. Okay, so most dogs are opportunists and they will take full advantage of that. So, enrichment is just something to do. So the function is pretty straightforward in this case. They're bored, they're just looking for something to do. It's fun to chew on things. Why not? Right. So that's usually the opportunist type dog that will do that. Although many dogs will do it right in front of you also, but the goal is that first, they do not do it in front of you because you're there to tell them otherwise. You're there to get them to drop it, or you're there to get them to leave it. So then the final function of the three big categories is resource guarding. So this is the dog that grabs the thing because they want to guard that resource. They want to keep the resource for themselves. So this is the desire to possess the resource. Okay, and this can be different levels of possession. So it can be really mild, or it can be really severe, okay? Genetics can also be a cause to resource guarding. Some dogs are genetically predisposed to want to guard a resource, and some dogs are bred for it. The guardian type dogs that are out there, the ones that, they're meant to guard livestock. and such, like the Great Pyrenees, for example. They're meant to guard livestock. So they might be more inclined to be a bit more possessive over things. Okay. So, and then the last one is learned behavior. So if they have something, if the dog has something and someone goes to get it from them and the dog growls or snaps at them, and then that person leaves them alone and walks away, that becomes a learned behavior. A learned behavior where they're, again, they want to keep the bone. They know that if somebody comes and approaches them and tries to take the bone from them or does take the bone, then the bone goes away, right? Or they've stolen a slipper and somebody comes over because you see that your dog stole a slipper that they shouldn't have. So you just reach down because they're young, they're puppies. You reach down, you pick up the slipper, you take it away, you put it away, right? Or I don't know, they grab a piece of trash from somewhere. You grab it from them again because they're puppies. Why wouldn't you? Puppies get into everything. We're always having to take stuff out of their mouths. So you grab it, you throw it away, right? Well, they're learning very quickly that if you approach them, all of a sudden you're a threat to take that thing away. And depending on your dog's personality, that may or may not turn into some possessiveness. Okay. So it can definitely be a learned behavior too.